Hey, you crazy cats! 42's live streams and videos are simply not available on vinyl. You will have to go to the YouTubes for that. So if you want content about British traditions and culture, cutting edge social commentary from an unapologetically patriotic perspective, along with a side order of madness you simply will not find anywhere else, then this is the place for you. And to all those early adapters in the chat, don't forget to hit the notification bell. That's how you get the good stuff, and make sure you never miss a tasty treat. So with that being said and done, squeeze yourself in. Let's get into it. You know you want to. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Please delete as applicable because the internet is worldwide and time zones are indeed still a thing. Can I get a wee audio check in the chat? And I'll do some hellos. Who's in? Gavin Sandwich, first in. What about you, chum? October, evening, brother. Sansom, great steam there with Sansom this evening. Absolutely lovely. Good questions, but he does have a point. It is a fucking skinny horse. We'll get into that. I think it might have been a bit fatter at one stage. Yeah, Mannequin's in. What about you, chum? Gavin Sandwich. Oh, my Emma G. I miss you too. Emma G and I were away on holidays there, and now we're not with each other 24/7. It's all a bit sad. So miss me, Emma G. But he else in? Budgie Burger, Toffee. Sansom Communion just ignored your. Man, I forgot about that as well. I don't know anything about Wessex Nomad or anything. Sorry about that. Budgie's in. Rory Herbert. Given your talk discussing chalk carving, say just emailed you a photo of the Ken, Abe's, Giant, and Dorset. Right. We're going to end up getting. I'm going to come back to that particular carving at a different stream, but thank you very much. I might put it in. We'll see where we go. Audio's all 5 and 9s. Thanks, Sanson. Yep. Rags, what about you, brother? Toffees are. Paper Lynn. Burn, what about you, chum? Edmund's here. Slim's in. What about you, chum? Edmund, I think I've already said hello to you. Rory Herbert, I have said hello to you. Paper Lim, Budgie Burger, Sansom. Oh, yes, here we go. We're all good. Right. Sorry, I'm a couple of minutes late. For those of you that missed it, I was just previously on holiday photos go. Yeah, we will do a little bit of holiday photos whenever I figure out how to get them shared and stuff. Right. I'm all over the place. Yeah. For everybody that has came along from Sansom Stream, which I was on previously in the Woods for the Trees, along with Woodlander and That's Life as But Not As We Know It. Very warm welcome to you. Honored that you decided to listen to me for some more, because that all sounds a bit weird. You might have been 42 right by now. And anybody that didn't see that, might be worth getting on catch up. And if you enjoy my show and my stuff, and you're not already watching Sansom stuff that goes on before it, or Bonnie Lad whenever it's Bonnie Lads, you're missing out. You would I would say you would enjoy that too. How's it, Babushka? What about you? B.S. Martin's jumped in. Thanks for coming along, bud. And yes, what else do I have? Tomorrow evening, the lad Toffee is on with Ragnar Ironspear and Jack and Rags. Have got Toffee on as a guest. That'll be good. That's at 7 p.m. tomorrow evening. And then at 8:30, Scott's Armours channel for a chat with the lads. So that's back on. Oh, I need liquid already. I can see us being a bit video heavy tonight. 1 second. Right. Yeah, this could end up a little bit video heavy tonight, people. Where was it? Yes, Scott's Armour, a chat with the lads. And then John Davison. I'm not sure what the exact state of play is with John. I know that he wasn't well. I know that his levels of streams have went down. Due to him being out, I wish him a very speedy and full recovery. But you'll probably be able to catch him Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays from 9 if he's streaming, depending on how long it takes him to get over this bug or infection or whatever it is that he's got. The other thing I would say is Dave's Waffle House. You possibly know him formally as. 1 second. Only a couple of minutes, mate. All you've missed is the hellos. It's all good. Hello, Mr. Ian Marr. Robert Ingram's jumped in. Glad to have you aboard. Yes. Dave's Waffle House, formerly known as Planet X Hunter. He was streaming in the afternoons at 3:30. He's now moved that to 8:30 in the evening. He does a good stream. He goes on for an hour, possibly an hour and a half, 2 hours. Has a lot of crack and banter with the chat. It's a good, friendly chat. And if you like this sort of stuff, you're probably going to enjoy that. And as outro song, Funky Purple Haze is class. Right. So that's all of that up to date. I think we may start with some holiday pictures. If we can figure out how to share this. All right. Hold on. 1 second. Right, no, I can't figure out how to share that, but I'll get a still picture and I'll get some video footage that I can share. Anglo-Saxon, evening, brother. You haven't missed anything. 1 second. Right, I can definitely share this. We're getting there. Share screen. Share screen. Window. Check this out. Oh, yes. That is the boat we were on. It was absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger because I can. Oh, yes. It was fab. We really enjoyed it. Emma G took a chunk of video, and I am going to try to get some cobbled together so they can actually share the video here. Sharing stuff straight off Telegram to StreamYard is not the easiest thing in the world. Let's see. Oh, yeah, no, that's not going to work. Oh, yeah, no. Blue face smiling. Yeah, it pretty much was. It pretty much was. I'm going to see if there's any other little pics I can get up to make you all jealous. No, no, I'm going to have to defer the holiday picks to next week or something like that, and also need to get that down and out of the way. I'll put that back up again when I'm farting about. This is all going nuts. Yep. Right, we're good to go now. Present, share screen. Yep, that's her. 2 wall-mounted televisions, 2 showers, double sink drainer. It was fucking mint. And this is at a place called Kerry Bridge, which is where we stayed one of the nights. Really lovely. Sansom, there are none of those. We didn't take any. We didn't take any video evidence of that. Rags is saying nice, and Sally wants one. Sansom, that was funny. And yes, parking that was a bitch. It was getting from one place to another down through all the channels. That was all great. G's very good at navigating, by the way, but parking the fucker was a bollocks. Mannequin, watch out in case a fisherman finds out. He finds out you've got his pie. Things things might get a bit iffy if he knows that. Well, as someone from East Belfast, where that Titanic was built, all I've got to say on that subject is it was fine when it left here. Definitely wasn't on fire. No. Wasn't ready for sinking. No. Wasn't crashed on sea trials. No, definitely not. All that conspiracy stuff's wrong. Just wrong. It was a fine boat when it left here. No, he's okay. He was just being funny. We're all good. Anything else? No. Wait till see as soon as you slow it down. It decides it does not. It doesn't want to steer. It goes wherever it wants. Yeah, it was. It was fun getting the park, to say the least. Nah. What we're going to do? We're going to talk a little bit about the White Horse. Oh, got an email saying I'm now live on my channel. That's all very good, because we would like to be live. I need to shut that down and bring this up. Yes, we're going to talk a little bit about the White Horse. Present, share screen. Here we go. This is the Uffington White Horse, and there are some nice pictures of it. And as Sansom did say earlier, it is a bit of a skinny horse. Now, if you look at the picture on the left, from where the forward hind leg comes down in that sort of boomerang shape, and if you follow the line straight on down, you can see where the legs were more filled out or something. Probably it looks like at one stage this did have a slightly different design that was less of a skinny horse, but it is what it is. And we're going to talk a little bit about what put me on the list. Was I originally found out that this is a weekend where traditionally they re-chalk this, so that's why it comes to be coming at this time of year. In an area that includes an Iron Age hill fort and the place where St George purportedly slew his allergic dragon, the Uffington White Horse is perhaps the most remarkable sight of all. The earliest reference to the Uffington White Horse comes in the late 11th century, by which time it was already well established geographical feature. Thus, speculation abounded for centuries as to the origin of the chalk cut hill figure. Some suggested that it was created during the Anglo-Saxon era, either by King Alfred to celebrate his victory over the Danes in 871, or by Hengist, the first Saxon king, whose emblem was a white horse. Others, more frenetically, imagined that the figure had some connection to the nearby Dragon Hill, representing either St George's horse or maybe even the legendary vanquished dragon. The truth, however, proved to be even more spectacular, as silt dating conducted in 1990 found that the Uffington White Horse was made during the late Bronze Age, making him approximately 3,000 years old, by far the oldest known hill figure in England. Measuring 360 feet long and 130 feet wide, its size and flowing abstract style set it apart from all other white horse hieroglyphs. And on that matter of style, it is notable that similarly stylized representations of a horse appear on coins found in the area dating back to the early Iron Age. So that it looks like this symbol was significant whenever they made it. What a fucking surprise. I would never have guessed that. Given its considerable antiquity and renown, it is likely to have served as an inspiration for those other white horses, including the Whitbury White Horse and the Osmington White Horse. So this is the other thing I found out. There are quite a few white horses dotted around the country. I just want to jump into the chat and do a quick check. Purple burglar alarm. Yeah. Chucky and Lemmy. Martin Bass has actually seen it. Ian Mars looking for Ian Mars looking for extra bits added to it. Is this white horse anywhere near Banbury Cross? I'm only saying because Rory Herbert's ancestry was involved. Guaranteed. Oh. Streaky Bacon's been there loads of times. Used to pass on his way to work. Right. Routine maintenance is required to keep the figure visible. From at least the 17th century until the 19th century, scouring festivals were held every 7 years, which included not only cleaning vegetation and renewing the faded top layer of chalk, but also climbing greasy poles, rolling meals of cheese down hills, pipe smoking marathons, and other particularly English fun time activities. We love a bit of cheese rolling. We'll love a bit of climbing up a greasy pole. It's all good. During World War II, the geograph was fully obscured to prevent Luftwaffe pilots from using it as a navigational aid. Today, the Uffington White Horse is maintained by the National Trust, which basically means if you want to see it, you gotta pay. That's what happens whenever the National Trust gets involved. Everything becomes monetized. So there is a little bit of an overview. Sorry, just checking the chat. No, that is in a totally different place. Not connected in any way, shape, or form, apart from there has been a similar method used to create it. Now, the next bit of info we're going to give so that was an overview. Now we're going to get into the history of it in a little more detail. Get this up. Oh, no. And this is coming from English Heritage, which is sometimes a little hit and miss. I want to move this down a little bit. This is a picture of the hill sort of beside it. The western ramparts of Uffington Castle on Wiltshire Hill. Now, let's see what this is like on the screen. That's readable. We're all good. Check out the latest comments. Toffee and Lamar giving a bit of stick back and forward. Always good. They're not doing a very good job of preserving our past or telling the history of anything. To the extent where whenever Emma and I visited Crum Castle on Lough Erne, which was a castle that was built during the plantation of Ulster that we talked about 2 to 3 weeks ago. It was one of the few castles. I seem to know more about all of that stuff than the people at the National Trust who are involved in looking after the site, which put something. Anyway, Uffington Castle. The Iron Age hill fort known as Uffington Castle occupies the summit of White Horse Hill. It consists of a large enclosure measuring about 220 metres by 160 metres, surrounded by a wide chalk stone bank or inner rampart about 12 metres wide, 2.5 metres high, and formerly lined with sandstone stones. Right, so where this horse is, there was also a fort. Right, so they put a defensive feature and they marked it with this horse. Around this is a grass-covered ditch around 3 metres deep and a further small bank forming an outer rampart. A causeway flanked by the outturned ends of the inner rampart provides an entrance to the site from the west. This would have been closed by a gate. So similar to the earthenwork defences that we looked at from Black Pig Dyke the other week. 1 second, I need to cough. Yep, haha. I managed to unmute myself. It's all good. So similar to those defensive earthworks that we talked about, uh, this was a similar type of thing where you dig a ditch down, you take the soil that you've dug out on the top, increase the height, and they had this flanked with stones. Post holes and pits revealed during archaeological excavations serve as evidence of structures built within the enclosure during the hill fort's occupation, while pottery and coins have been found in burial chambers close by. Remember, we found that there are a lot of post holes around Stonehenge. Well, this is similar sort of a thing. The Iron Age buildings are likely to have been large round huts, each housing an extended family group. In the Middle Ages, the land within the enclosure was ploughed, and the earthworks marked the ridge and furrow patterns of the cultivation. So this was not just a defensive fortification; it was also a preserved farm. The Iron Age hill fort, large Iron Age hill forts are rare. Most are located on the high chalklands of the southern counties of England, and Uffington Castle is regarded as an outstanding example. And there's a picture of the horse and where exactly that I think the hill fort is in this area just below it. Situated 170 metres to the northeast of the hill fort, visible from a distance of several miles, a striking chalk cut figure of a horse. The white horse measures 111 metres from the tip of its tail to its ear and has been dated to the late Bronze Age between 1740 and 210 BC. It may have been a territorial marker or a fertility symbol. Its function is far from certain. Once every 7 years from 1677, a midsummer scouring festival was held, with local people cleaning the chalk outline, and the horse enjoyed a celebratory feast within the hill fort. The shape of the horse has changed over the centuries. The present outline may only be part of the original. Aerial photography shows that a larger, more conventional shape of a horse lies beneath. The loss of the shape has been caused by slippage of the topsoil and by repeated recutting. The head currently has a prominent eye and a tusk-like beak at its mouth. So, because the soil has moved over the years, the shape of the horse has changed. This is why we need to. I know that at times it's going to sound like I'm going over the same information, but I can't get one source that gives us everything that we need in the one convenient location, so we've got to double up on some stuff. The Dragon Hill. Local legend associates the horse with St. George and the dragon, hence the name of nearby Dragon Hill. This is a round mound about 10 metres high with a flattened top likely to have been formed by glacial erosion. No, that's all we have on this one. And just checking the chats. Or we're talking about Iceland food. Uh, I would say all of Ireland has been taken from its original inhabitants, but that's a whole different other thing. Well, the the ditches the ditches or dikes were in use were not grass covered. They had stone and stuff, and people inside them with large sticks with pokey bits at the end. And uh, for their time they were quite good. Uh, we don't have any definite indication of where it was made. It could have been to mark territory, or it could have been some form of fertility symbol, or something that we don't know. There would be better weights. I'm not going to pretend that I know exactly what that means. Uh, right. So, and now we're going to have the National Trust 2 bit on it, which is very, very small. The National Trust, as usual, have not said a lot. Oh yeah, this is simply about the scarring of the White Horse, which you can go along and take part in, should you wish. It would probably help to live relatively close. uh, why is that not coming up? Right. Hold on 1 second. Ah, this is going to explain why I know nothing about it, because it's a Lord of the Rings reference. I don't know anything about that book or film. BNSPQ's just back from work. We're all doing good here, and we're talking about the scarring of the White Horse. And yep, this is a National Trust, and this is going on Saturday, the 22nd of July, 2023. As part of looking after the White Horse, we need to remove weeds and grass growing in the chalk of the hill figure. Join us in this ancient ritual. Just turn up and do as much or as little as you like. This is a key part to preserving the White Horse and is important groundwork for rechalking in August. Traditionally, the rechalking would have been done in July, but the National Trust have moved that into August, and they've made 2 days of it. Uh, and it goes on Saturday, the 22nd of July, from 10 o'clock to 1600. And check admission prices. Yes, we'll just see how much this is. Yeah, they're not doing very well telling us exactly how much it is. I think this might actually be free, but I would doubt it would be in the. Well, there's no free drink facilities. There's no shop. There's no toilets. There's no disabled accommodation. I don't. I think this is actually going to end up be free. I think you can just turn up and do that. That's very nice of them, allowing you to just turn up and take part in what would be a ancient traditional festival. This is actually quite a nice picture of the horse, and you can see the different lines here where there has been the slippage and the horse has been larger and it's been redesigned. And there are some people out there either putting out plants or rubbing chalk into the horse. So there is all of that. Now, there are a couple of other things that are in the area. And we're going to talk a little bit about those. I just want to check in with the chat. Streaky bacon. That's actually not a bad plan. That would be getting into the festival theme that would have been traditionally associated with, so that's all fine. Right. So, what else do we have in the area? There's an area in this place called the Manager. And we're going to have a little look at that. StreamYard. Present. Share screen. Share screen. And this is coming from Uffington Parish Council because that was the best fucking thing I could get on this. And we're going to zoom that in a bit and zoom that in a bit more. Going to check StreamYard that it's actually up. It is. And we're going to zoom that in a couple more times. Now, this is actually quite a nice shape here. We've got nice green stuff here, and we've got all these steps coming down here. And the Manager is a strangely shaped valley, which is thought to have been formed by the melting ice of the last ice age. Folklore suggests that the Manger is the supernatural feeding place of the White Horse, which we travel from its vantage point on the crest of the hill on moonlit nights. Historically, right, so what they're saying is the myth is that the horse would come down to here to drink and eat. Historically, cheese rolling was held down the side of the valley during the Scouring Festival. So this is where they did. Holy fuck. See how steep that bit is to the right? I wouldn't fancy chasing cheese down there. I think they're probably going to be going from this area, the adjacent to the, but that is quite steep. But that would be, yeah, get your cheese rolling game going. Cheese rolling was held down the side of the valley during the Scouring Festival. This activity was recreated by the villagers of Uffington during the Millennium Scouring, but in a manner more compatible with current attitudes towards health and safety. Heaven forbid that your ancient traditions might cause you to break a leg. We can't be having that. No. That's a hard no. Anglo-Saxons then, evening brother. Sorry, just checking through the. Peter Bentham, what about you, sir? Glad to have you aboard. Peter's come over from the Waffling House. If everybody wants to say hello, please do so. Make them feel welcome. Right. So what else do we have in this area? We have the Dragon's Hill. Right, back to StreamYard. Mr. Rory was here at the start. I'm not sure if he's had to leave or if he's on the lurk, but Mr. Rory was indeed here. Are you chasing the cheese? Right. Share my screen. The Amazing Legends of Dragon Hill, Uffington. The mysterious Dragon Hill sits above the Manger and directly below the Uffington White Horse in Oxfordshire and has intrigued people for centuries. It has been thought to play a role in a number of legendary tales, even the famous fictional realms, the most common being the story involving Dragon Hill is the legend of St. George, which, whenever we did our St. George's Day stream, we know is shitting bull, because George slayed a caiman, which is a crocodile type beast, out in the Middle East. That's the origins of the story, and was never in England. But however, people will try to do what they want, and this is meant to be a spot where he slayed the fire-breathing dragon. It was also mentioned in the Arthurian tales, and is even thought to have been the inspiration for Wellertop and Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. But what is the truth surrounding the ancient Chalk, and what secrets does it hold? Here's a complete guide to visiting Dragon Hill on Ridgeway Trail near Oxford, and how you can uncover the mysteries yourself. Oh fuck! Oops, that was close. I nearly did a mute way. Right. Dragon's Hill is the ancient rare natural chalk mound with an artificially flattened top. So we did stuff to rearrange this thing. It's around 10 metres high, and from here you can get some incredible views of the Uffington White Horse, the manger, the giant stairs, and also the Oxfordshire countryside. The hill is thought to have occurred naturally over 200 million years ago from glacial erosion by melting of the ice water, but the flattened top is thought to have been a man made influence from the Dubani tribe who lived in Britain during the Iron Age. They settled here before the Roman invasion. So here we've got the hill and the flattened off the top, which gives them a nice living area. There's steps up there and more steps up there. Before its record history and groundbreaking excavation, the hill has often been a broader range of historic legends that span the ages, but most famously was the legend of St. George and the Dragon we just spoke about. This is where the name of the hill is thought to have originated from. The story goes that the fire-breathing dragon was causing panic in the town. The townsfolk tried everything to abate it. They gave it shape and were forced to give human sacrifices to sacrifice its thirst for blood. The sacrifices were chosen, and according to legend, he rode up to St. George, rode his horse up Dragon Hill, killed the dragon with his lance. The dragon's blood spewed everywhere, all over the hilltop, and the blood was so poisonous that the grass on the hill never grew again. You can see evidence of this with the large chalk spot on the top of the hill, supposedly the location where the dragon fell. The grass mysteriously never grows there. There is also a theory that the white horse above the hill is not meant to be a horse, but is in fact an evil dragon, because it looks like a dragon right enough. More shitting bull. What evidence was there to support the story is true? In fact, very little. St. George, not English, born in Calabria in Turkey, he was never been recorded visiting Uffington, and the legend in many accounts took place in Libya. Now, and here we'll have a picture of the hill with its flattened top and with its chalk bit and with its absence of grass. Now, some say that the name Dragon Hill actually comes from the Arthurian tales, which recount the legendary characters of Merlin and King Arthur. In this famous antiquarian, John Arbery mentions that this hill could have been a burial mound of his Monumentio Britannica, written in 1670. Uther Pendragon, who was King Arthur's father, is thought to have fought the Saxons at Uffington, died in battle, and then been laid to rest at this very chalk mound. Some say that the blood spot is not the blood of the dragon, but of the Danish invaders. After all, it is well-known legend that Alfred the Great summons his armies, who were camped at Uffington Castle, through the blowing stone of Kirkstone Lies. This is a location a few miles away where the soldiers would then march and go off to fight the Danes for a Saxon victory in the Battle of Ashdown in 871. Is Dragon's Hill connected to Tolkien's Middle Earth? We have people in the chat making Tolkien connections. Fast forward a few centuries, and this spot also plays a role in other fantasy worlds. Dragon Hill is thought to have inspired the legendary realm of Middle Earth. J.R.R. Tolkien was an academic at Oxford and was well known for going on tours of the Berkshire Downs, as it was known in 1912. He would then visit this area often throughout his life. His son Christopher Tolkien was convinced that Dragon Hill was the inspiration for Weathertop or Amon-Su of Erindor. This is where Frodo Baggins is stabbed by Ringwrath. But of course, in the books, the hill rose around 1,000 feet, had a watchtower, but this just goes to show what an imagination Tolkien had created in his beloved. Yeah. Coming back down to human Earth and real world, what is the true history of this mysterious mound? Well, although recent excavations cannot give an exact purpose, they can paint a really good picture. The ancient hillock dates back to around 2.4 million years ago. It is generally agreed that the hill was created naturally during the Ice Age from the formations of melting water. But the flattening on top of the hill would have been man-made influence that happened in the Iron Age. Oh, objection. Let me. We've got another segment. Yes, we'll highlight this. This fits into the segment of Celtic bullshit. But the flattening of the top would have been man-made influence that happened in the Iron Age with Celtic Britain tribes. Where might this be a small problem? Iron Age, 3,000 years ago, around about 3000 BC. It's pretty good. Celts arriving in Britain, 500 BC. The Celts would not arrive for 2,500 fucking years. So this has got nothing to do with the Celts. It is thought to have happened due to the high level of potash found on the summit that this flat top hill was commonly used for pagan rituals and ceremonies which involve sacrifices. Maybe did this as an offering to the great white horse that scars the hill above. After all, it was also created around the same time over 3,000 years ago. Bang! I hadn't seen their date and I got it spot on. See, fuck, we're good. We're good. Uh, yeah, just 1,500 years minimum before 2,000, 2,500 years before the Celts arrived. Yeah. You never know when the Celtic bullshit's going to arrive. Straight, I don't hate the Celts, but what I do dislike with a vengeance is that the history of our people is being accredited to invaders who had fuck all to do with it. That's where the problem is. We need to keep our own proper history. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Many say this hill resembles the likes of Salisbury Hill, an ancient pyramid that lies on Avery World Heritage Site in Wiltshire. However, that one was completely man-made, and to this day, no one really knows why. Around the 10th century, the summit was noted as Eccles Barrow, meaning church barrow. I wonder if that got anything to do with the Eccles cakes. So there could have been a Christian temple that stood here on the site, probably to pass away the pagan rituals and sacrifices in honor of the white horse. There are also theories that this was a normal castle mount with a moat and bailey below. Recent excavations have discovered many Iron Age shreds and Roman coins were buried here, but not much else could be confirmed. What I will say is that sites for Norman castles were a lot of the time put upon the sites of previous forts. So, where is the Dragon Hill in England? If you wanted to come and see this mysterious mound for yourself, then you would only need to visit the Oxfordshire countryside. Dragon's Hill is located 5 miles from Farringdon, 12 miles from Swindon, 25 miles from Oxford, and 80 miles from London. It's perched on quite a remote area in the countryside and is accessible along the Ridgeway National Trail, the oldest road in Europe. How to get there, we're not going through all of that. We'll stop and have a little look at this nice picture. So once you meet Dragon Hill, well, not a lot really, but it's a lovely spot to perch and relax for a ride. Maybe take a picnic, maybe take a barbecue, although I think it might be a bit windy up there for barbecuing. You get a 360-degree view of Oxfordshire Downs, and you can easily see the manger and the giant stairs, which are a crevice in the nearby hillside. Also, the Uffington White Horse. Yeah, and they're saying picnic as well, see. And there's a picture of the stairs. Uffington Castle, we have talked about. I'm not sure if this picture is actually part of the castle because it's not in any of the other things, and this site is a bit confusing to say the least. So that's what we're going to do on that one. And I'm checking the chat. I've never had necklace cake. I've only heard them mentioned. So I didn't know that they give you the shits. That's good information. I shall avoid them. Wayland Smithy is an entirely different bast. Yeah. October, I thought that picture was something different. It's all a bit confusing. And what was this other thing? Yes. This seems a bit more. This is from Berkshire History, which gives you a picture of the castle. 1 second. Right. Back to this. I'm going to zoom this in a little. Now, this is giving you a pretty decent overview of the area. You've got the castle right up in this top layer, and you can see the two layers of the ramparts to defend it. Then you've got the White Horse over here, and you've got the manger, this valley down here. So the horse is just above the valley. It goes down there for something to eat, and the horse is most likely marking this territory for those that live there. And I just want to check StreamYard to see the size of that on the screen. I would like to make that writing a little bit larger. So we're going to do a last zoom in. That actually gives you a bit better view of that picture as well. So Uffington Castle sits at the very top of the White Horse Hill, just to the south of the White Horse itself, despite the obvious categorization as an Iron Age hill fort. Recent excavations have shown that, like the horse in nearby settlements on Rams Hill, Uffington, and Tower Hill, Aylesbury, it was originally constructed in the late Bronze area, probably in the 8th or 7th century BC. The fort at this time consisted of early ramparts, massive timber gates associated with a linear ditch, possibly connected to Hodwell Camp, woodlands, or a lowly banked pre-hill fort enclosure as found at other Iron Age forts in southern England. There was little evidence, however, of an internal Bronze Age occupation. I need to zoom this just out a little bit. Right. The Uffington Castle we recognise today is an 8-acre double-walled hill fort which once had a timber box ramparts that were reverted with Saracen stones and at a later period. There is a northwest-facing entrance protected by a curving outwards of the bank along both sides around the ditch, so they used the natural shape of it to provide defences. The site was occupied throughout the early and middle Iron Age period, probably at a level similar to most other excavated hill forts. Post holes indicate not fully recognised structures, and an unusual clay-lined gully may show evidence of water management. Excavated pits have shown much evidence of weaving, spinning. the keeping of animals and other activities. So it's the farming type stuff that we were going along before with the ploughed fields and stuff. Coins of the Dubani tribe have also been found in the vicinity. However, the field of the White Horse seems to have been uninhabited divide between the tribes of the Dubani and the abbreviates on Uffington Castle, and the White Horse falls within the territory of the latter to the south of the River Rourke. Permanent occupation seems to have ceased around the 3rd century BC. So it seems like this horse was like marking the edge of these people's land, and yeah, you can go as far as the White Horse, don't be going any further, or there's going to be fisticuffs. The hill fort then remained unoccupied for several hundred years, even though extensive Roman British field systems on the Berkshire Downs and a number of villas in the Vale indicate that domestic life continued nearby. In the late Roman period, however, around the 3rd century AD, evidence for considerable activity on the site reappears, with an enclosure possibly with ritual shafts was constructed to the west of the fort, and secondary burials were inserted into the adjoining Neolithic long barrow. Within Uffington Castle itself, large amounts of pottery, animal bones, and low denomination coins from this period have been excavated, as well as a small bread oven, so they're baking bread. It suggests that such remains represent the rubbish left behind after religious celebrations, not unlike those subsequently occurred during the regular scouring of the White Horse. This could have been an as yet unlocated temple remaining within the hill fort throughout Roman times as a maiden castle, as at Maiden Castle. So you've got Maiden Castle Dorset that has a Roman religious area in it, and other hill forts in the south of England. Perhaps nearby Dragon Hill was an open air sanctuary. Newly created breaks in the ramparts, particularly on that northern side, certainly allow better access to the small knoll and the great hill figure. So that's pretty much all there is to say on that. I don't think it was a kebab shop. Oh, they're doing the Westbury White Horse at the minute. they're I'm guessing that this is sort of like a midsummer type of thing where if you're in an area where there's these chalk horses or even the people, whatnot, that yeah, this is time of year you're going to have to go out and do that. But that's interesting. Bit of confirmation that it all gets done this time of the year. So I'm just having a quick check through the chat. Yes, very welcome. Weedlander, glad to have you in. That's sleeping now. Was no it. Is in pleasure to hear. Good evening, mates. What about you, Sean? Billy, what are you being sorry for? I don't think you've done anything to be sorry for. We're all good. Nah, I think we've done an hour of that, and that's pretty much all of that about the White Horse, about the manager, the Dragon's Hill. We've got this. They're all in the same sort of an area. They're a bit interconnected, and you can go and see them all in the one day. And with that, we are going to go to a strange sport, which, by the way, is topical because this strange sport, the World Championship, is gets held in July. It's a yearly event in July. Get your guesses into the chat. What you think this week's strange sport? Rugby league is not a strange sport. We have a much higher level of strangeness. Not midget tossing. Here we go. It's coming up.
The Bentley Brook Inn at Ashbourne in England's East Midlands again hosted the World Toe Wrestling Championships on Saturday. Both genders battled for separate titles. Following a feet hygiene check, 2 people take part in each bout. The contestants start by locking right toes, then left, and then right again. As in arm wrestling, strength and balance are key in a sport which began in medieval times. It was revived in 1976 and has been taking place annually since the mid-1990s. Teenager Becca Beach took the women's crown for the 2nd straight year, beating Twinkletoes Lisa Shenton in her final. Alan Nash again dominated the men's competition. The 53-year-old from West Coyney, who is nicknamed Nasty Nash, saw off 20 rivals. Victory over Dr. Hardtoe in the men's final made him toe wrestling world champion for a stunning 10th year in a row, which really is no mean feat.
Well, there you go. Our today's strange sport was indeed toe wrestling, and we generally have a British World Toe Wrestling champion in both male and female. Well, with toe wrestling, I think not. Yeah, that's up Samson's neck of the wood. Yeah. Oh, we're getting people who are not a fan of toe wrestling. Right. Oh no, there are people come from all over. There are Johnny Farner does turn up to compete in the World Toe Wrestling competition, and they get their toes kicked every fucking time. Yeah, you probably couldn't find it, just like Stoke in the Valley map. Yes. Right. Now we've had that, we are going to have, right, as I have said before, I am not going to go over last year's content this year. I'm not going to tackle all the same topics. However, there are certain times of the year when I am going to mention some things that I have spoke about last year. Now, we're going to do a little bit on the Battle of Somme, as the anniversary was the 1st of July. I'm probably never going to do a stream at the beginning of July or my first stream in July and not comment on it, because it is a very large cultural event in my country and with my people. Now, if you want the full in-depth version of this, for all the information about the Battle of Somme, I did a stream with Rory Herbert last year that was quite excellent. Roy's grandfather and my grandfather were both wounded within about a mile and a half of each other on the first day of the Somme, 1st of July 1914. So I've got the link to that in the description if you want more thing, but I'm going to do a very quick overview. I'm also going to shamelessly plug one of my poems, which is on the subject. Is it up? Oh, yes, we're up. Right, here we go. Why We March by 42. To those that ask or question why we march on this first day of July with fife and drum and sash and banner and follow a route in predictable manner, why we play those tunes that proclaim yesteryear or believe the reason is because we are here. Ponder ye this as you watch the sunset. We march so others will never forget the band of brothers that left us for Isle and went to war with a cheer and a smile. The deeds they done to preserve liberty, so the people of Ulster would always be free. They fought with a bravery second to none, and a bayonet charge that cannot be outdone. As their blood drained in a faraway field, so we march with a pride that cannot be concealed. So no longer dare to question why we march on this first day of July. Yes, 1st of July in Northern Ireland, there are hundreds of parades to commemorate the Battle of the Somme, mainly because the event of the formation of the Ulster Volunteer Force and those men, the Ulster Volunteer Force was formed in order to fight whichever government was going to force the Ulster people into an All Ireland. And the deal was done that if the Ulster Volunteer Force went to fight in the Battle of the Somme, that they would remain part of the that Ulster would remain part of the United Kingdom. So it's quite an important part of our culture that we mark, remember, we have parades and stuff. I'm going to do a very quick overview of the Battle of Somme and prove that I do actually understand that it was the British and Commonwealth soldiers that fought the battle, and it wasn't just our people. But I'm going to do a little bit about it, and if you want the full story with a full breakdown and Roy's account of where his grandfather was fighting, my account of where my grandfather was fighting, that's in the link in the description. The Somme stream, I think it's called. The 1916 Somme Offensive was one of the largest and bloodiest attacks of the First World War, 1914 to 1918. The opening day of the attack, 1st of July 1916, saw the British Army sustain 57,000 casualties, the bloodiest day in British military history. The campaign finally ended in mid-November after an agonising 5-month struggle that failed to secure a breakthrough. And they managed to push the mile 5 months later after they brought tanks into it. And here's a picture of British soldiers. Situation. After failing in 1914-15 to break the muddy stalemate and trench warfare, the Allies developed a new plan. A big push on the Western Front would coincide with attacks by Russia and Italy elsewhere. The British wanted to attack in Belgium, but the French demanded an operation at the point in the Allied line where the two armies met. This was along a 25-mile, 40-kilometre front on the River Somme in northern France. On the 21st of February 1916, aiming to wear down the French in a battle of attrition, the Germans attacked Verdun. In order to assist their ally, the British launched their attack on the Somme earlier than planned. The British troops involved in the Battle of Somme were inexperienced volunteers of the new armies that had been recruited in 1914-1915. We're not going to do Hague. Hague's plan was for the British Fourth Army to break through the centre with the Third Army in the north and the French Sixth Army in the south, made divisionary attacks. If successful, the reserve army, including the cavalry, would then exploit the gap and roll up the German line. The Germans were stationed behind a formidable set of defences, the strength of which had been underestimated by Allied intelligence. 24th of June 1916, the British began a 7-day preliminary bombardment. Hague's artillery was expected to destroy German defensive and guns and cut the barbed wire in front of the enemy lines. When the attacks began, it would provide a creeping barrage behind which the infantry could advance. The British believed that the Germans would be so shattered by this bombardment that the infantry would rush over and occupy the trenches, but they overestimated their firepower. The guns were too thinly spread for the task in hand. Estimates suggest as many as 30% of the shells fired in the bombardment before the Battle of the Somme failed to explode. That's close but not quite true. Either failed to explode or they landed short in no man's land, making it harder to cross. The British fired 1.5 million shells. Many were shrapnel, which threw out steel balls when they exploded. These were devastating against troops in the open, but largely ineffective against concrete dugouts. A lot of shells were also defective. The German defences were not destroyed, and in many places the wire remained uncut. The Allies also used mines to destroy German lines. Before the battle, one was detonated at Hawthorne Ridge 10 minutes before 0 hour, unwittingly signalling to the Germans that the attack was coming. So yeah, you get a big landmine that tunneled underneath and blew that the fuck up, and the Germans then knew that the attack was coming. At 7:30 a.m. on 1st July 1916, 14 British divisions attacked. In most cases, they were unable to keep up with the barrage that was supposed to take them through the German trenches. This gave the Germans time to scramble out of their dugouts, man their trenches, and open fire. Hague's infantry met by a storm of machine gun fire, rifle fire, and artillery. They suffered over 7,000 casualties on the day. Although the French made good progress in the south, and there were some local successes, in most places the attack was a bloody failure, but the French, still under pressure for Verdun, there was no question of calling off the offensive. I noticed that they have missed something out. And I shall give you that little bit of information. The 36th Ulster Division at Thiefel Wood met all of their objectives by 9 a.m. in the morning and were the only unit to have their flag behind the German lines that morning. And then they were attacked from three sides because, well, nobody else made that far, so they were out on their own, and 2 days later they had to come back. We went over the top. After an internal period of terrible apprehension, our artillery seemed to increase in intensity and the German guns opened up on no man's land. The din was deafening, the fumes choking and visibility limited, owing to the dust and clouds caused by exploding shells. It was a virtual inferno. I was momentarily expected to be blown to pieces. My platoon continued to advance in good order without many casualties and had reached the halfway line to the approach line. Suddenly, an appalling rifle and machine gun fire opened up against us, and my men commenced to fall. I shouted down, but most of those that were still not hit had already taken cover. I dropped in a shell hole and occasionally attempted to move to my right and my left, but bullets were forming an impenetrable barrage around the exposure of the head meant certain death. None of our men were visible, but in all directions came pitiful groans and cries of pain. That's from Lieutenant Alfred Grundy, 1st of July 1916. That's as much of the battle song as I'm going to cover this evening. But there you go. I just want to have a quick check in the chat. That is exactly it. Lands led by donkeys. Yep. Roy's grandfather went over the top with 650 men, returned with less than 160. 1 in 4 of the unit my grandfather went over with were never came back. My grandfather was brought back to the lines on a dead stretcher, and it was only by severe amount of luck that it was noticed that he was alive, and got medical attention and sorted out. Yeah, I'm going to do another video, go do a little song, because why the hell not? Here we go. I told you it was going to be video intensive, because we're an hour and 22 in, and why not?
Come gather round, my comrades, this 1st of July morn, when Ulster men are proudly glad of the land where they were born. I will tell you of our history and how it came to pass that we went once more to England's aid, so far from old Belfast. It was in the dark, uncertain days of early World War I, when Britain's shores were threatened by the jackboot of the Hun. But now England's cry for help was heard, we bade them have no fear, and we sent across the Flanders fields the Ulster volunteers. It was at a place they call the Somme on the 1st day of July, when 20,000 Ulster men they prepared to fight and die. Well, they bravely charged through no man's land with their red hand flying high, and their cry it was no surrender, boys, old Ulster's battle cry. Well, the Germans in their trenches, they could scarce believe their eyes, when up in charge those Ulster men, and they heard their battle cry. For what kind of men are these, they said, who leave their native land for to die upon a battlefield? And what is that strange red hand? So on and on they charged that day, where others feared to tread, and in the mud and on the wire they left behind their dead. Now the only flag to fly that day behind the German lines was the old red hand of Ulster with its shamrocks, they numbered 9. And for those who came back home again, what changes did they find? For the counties that made Ulster up, they no longer numbered 9. 3 counties had been sold away by those we fought to save. For now this was England's gratitude to the sacrifice we made. So come gather round, my comrades, this 1st of July morn, when Ulster men are proudly glad of the land where they were born, and will never more be laid away to fight in a foreign land, or to die for someone else's cause at an Englishman's command.
Yeah, there are quicker versions of that song. It's not an official flag to have the Union Jack in the top corner, but it is very common. The Pogues are pretending to be drunk to this tune. Oh, thanks, Anglo. What I will say, one of the reasons why I played that was when your folk songs, your traditions, your history are all how it's all interwoven to your history and how you remember what actually happened. And so people say I tend to know quite a bit about the history because a lot of it's in the songs, and then you learn the songs you're growing up, and then you actually look into the history of it and pick out what's been a bit of artistic license and what the actual facts of it are. So there you have it. And the other thing that I'm going to talk about this week, because I can't do it next week, which I should have stayed at the start of the show, next week I have Al Mack on as a guest. He's going to be finishing the conversation we'll have with him. That's all going to be very good, but it means I'm not going to be talking about history, culture, or any of that stuff. So I'm going to do a very, very short version of some information about the Battle of Boyne, which is the other quite important cultural thing that happens in my country at this time of year. If you want the full lowdown, last year's stream, Bonefires, Battles and Bands, that's all still extremely true because the history doesn't change. And you can get the lowdown on that, but I'm going to do a very, very quick bit on that. And then I'm going to open it up for guests to come on if somebody wants to have a chat. Okay. Has that come up? It has. Good. Now, this is where Britannic is getting interesting. Battle of Boyne, 1st of July, 1690. Now, Interestingly, and whenever it happened in 1690, it was the 1st of July, but then we had a Gregorian calendar change. Everything got moved 12 days. It became the 12th of July. But Britannica is putting it back to the 1st for some reason. I don't know why. Interestingly, the Orange Order and the marching orders started off celebrating the Battle of Acheron. Fucking butchered the pronunciation of that. Acheron, which would have been the 12th of July on the old calendar, which then got moved to the 24th. And whenever everything moved 12 days, the decision was taken to continue the parades on the 12th of July, which is why we ended up parading for the Battle of the Boyne and not the Battle of Acheron. Oh, Sansom's all over this again. Please understand, folks, this is the second bite of the cherry that resistance of lies will not admit to. Yeah. Battle of Boyne, 12th of July 1690. British history, a major conflict fought along the Boyne River in Ireland between King William III, William of Orange, and the exiled King James II, also known as James and all his rebel scum that came up and had the siege of Derry. Having been deposed and exiled after William's landing in Brixham and subsequent English desertions, James II sought to retake his throne through an alliance with Ireland and France. A string of Irish Jacobite victories in the northern country were followed by a swift but indecisive loss on the Boyne River. Although James's escape dragged the first Jacobite rising into 1691, the Battle of the Boyne reassured William's allies of his commitment to defeating all French-aligned forces, and which led to in 1691 the Battle of Acheron, where they were totally routed, and that was the end of the wars, and James as a force disappeared. To that end, in Northern Ireland, we have large bonfires on the 11th of July, which recreate the fires that were used for guiding William's ships into harbour at Carrickfergus, and then the fires that were lit to let the populace know that King William was indeed in Ireland and which area he was in. So there you go. That's a very, very quick take on the Battle of Boyne. As you say, all the information's in the one from last year. And yeah, we have band parades, we have reenactments, we have bonfires and stuff. And that's all of that. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick the link in if anybody wants to. If anybody wants to come in and have a quick chat. If not, I'm going to prattle on for probably about 5 or 10 minutes. And then yeah, you did no chance. But you're welcome to come on for a chat if you want. But we're at the call-in bit. We've discussed the Uffington White Horse, how the Rechalk used to be a festival every 7 years. Now the National Trust has taken over it. No more climbing up greasy poles, rolling cheese down it, down the hill and chasing cheese and stuff. Streaky's tempted, but he's a bit pissed. Why am I not surprised? Anglo-Saxons say and get in. Here's Streaky. If you want to come in, come in. If you're very, very drunk, I'll kick you out again, like, but rather than have you get out of hand. But if you want to come in, you can come in. Mr. Herbert, good evening, sir.
Good evening, 42.
How's yourself?
Not too bad, 42. How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing okay, doing good. Not long back from a holiday with the wonderful Emma G, and as relaxing as the holiday was, I have been a bit tired from I got back, but everything's been good.
Well, I was rather impressed with the size of your boat. You know, it's not quite the size of my super yacht, but yeah, it looked pretty impressive to me.
Oh, I'll get more and better pictures up, and but it was quite the fancy boat. There's 2 showers in it. There's yeah, it's nice.
I bought a little cabin cruiser once, and used to tow it down to Poole Harbour in Dorset, and sailed it across to the Royal Motor Yacht Squadron, which is one of the most sandbanks in Dorset, which is like one of the most expensive areas. And the interesting thing was that you'd pull up in the harbour, next to some huge super yacht thing, but the whole community, the whole boating community, they were all, yeah, we'll help you. You know, it didn't seem to be anything about money. They were just really good guys.
Yeah, we have found that the people, moored up along the lake and stuff were all very nice, and would help you get tied up and stuff. Because driving from A to B was fine, but parking it was an absolute bastard. It was a bollocks. I mean, Mr. No Chance, good evening, sir.
Hello, lads. How you doing?
Not too bad. How's yourself?
I always feel reluctant to talk after Rory because I sound like a scheme man compared to him. This is very posh.
Rory has got the cut.
Rory has got no chance. Yeah, I'd have no problem with your Scottish accent. Believe me.
Rory does have the cut glass accent.
It's like royalty. It's like how I'd imagine someone talking, and the people that oppressed Mel Gibson and Braveheart,
Well, I haven't looked that far into my ancestry, but maybe they did. You never know. No chance.
Well, sorry.
How are you doing anyway? You good?
1 second. Streaky, it's saying your devices aren't connected. If you want to try to come out and come back on again. Yeah, we're doing good. Thanks.
What was the discussion? Was that like the people that climb up greasy poles to try and grab a bit of ham? Is that like the similar thing you're talking about?
Right. Honestly, not quite sure what all went. Right. That we had the chalk white horse. And see if I can get a quick picture of that up. There's a chalk white horse in Ulster, and every time this year they take all the weeds out of it and re-chalk it. So we're talking about that. But in the ancient festival, they would have they would have had all sorts of things going on, and that they had like greasy pole climbing and cheese rolling and drinking and stuff, and that was quite the festival and party. Right, Streaky Bacon is cut in, and I can get a picture of this. Streaky, is your camera on? And if it is, are you wanting it off?
Mate. Yeah, it's on, but I got it covered.
All right. Okay, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't showing you whenever it shouldn't have been.
No, that's all cool, mate. Nice to be here.
Yeah. nice to have you here. Yes, so for no chance's benefit, this is the White Horse that's put into like a hill, and traditionally they would have had every 7 years the community would have came together, had a party, and made it nice and white again. So
Right, okay. Sorry, I'll watch it after the fact.
Yeah.
I don't want the audience to go over old ground you've already covered, so apologies.
Don't worry, we've been over it several times. It's fine. They're getting used to it now, but and it's now taken over and done by the National Trust, and they have sanitized that quite vociferously. Because that's what they do.
Yeah, a quick question for you, 42. Have you ever had an Englishman, a Scotsman, and a Welshman on your channel at the same time before?
I haven't actually. We've actually got the four. We've got the four countries covered at the minute, and this is the first time ever.
We've done the joke. We've done that joke.
Tough shit, lads. I'm a packy, and you don't know I do really because you ain't seen me. That was a joke.
Yeah, I know, because that's definitely a Welsh accent.
He's half and half, so that's why he's streaky bacon. So he's like a bit brown, a bit white,
Yeah.
I think he's from New Tredegar, somewhere in the valley. He's from the valleys,
The boy was from the valleys.
I lived all around the southeast, like mainly since I was young. Like, wow, I left valleys like when I was 20 because there was no work down there or nothing. So that's when I came to like the southeast, and then I started to live all along the southeast, basically, everywhere from Bristol to London and all the satellite towns in between, So.
Oh, that reminds me of that old film, How Green Was My Valley. Do you remember that? 42.
Yeah, the film. It was filled with Irish actors. It's a bit of a waste of a film, to be honest. All the actors in that film, there was like about 1% was actually Welsh. It was mainly Irish actors, and I think the film was a little bit twee, but yeah, it's not a bad film, bro. It's not the worst of films, to be sure, mate. Yeah.
Well, you had Irish actors in your Welsh film. The Irish have got a lot of Welsh in their fake Irish language.
I don't know about this, mate. Please go on, tell me.
Right. Well, see, whenever the Irish nationalists, Sinn Féin, like around.
Sorry, Sentums wrote in the chat, how green was my scabies? How fucking green was my scabies? Yeah, nice one, mate. Sorry to interrupt 42, but yeah, that's just I'm in a really good mood now. What a pucker remark that was. Yeah, sorry, mate.
Yeah, no, that needed pointing out. That was a good one. Around about 1890, the Irish nationalists decided to have an Irish nationalist revival. They created the Gaelic Athletic Association, whose first order of business was to draw up the rules of the traditional Irish games, which means it can't have been that traditional because they were only just being fucking invented. And they attempted to revive the Irish language, and they had sort of like 10 different dialects with chunks of words, and they cobbled that together to create a language, and they were still short of a lot of words, so they filled it out with Welsh.
Oh, did they really? Okay, yeah. I didn't notice. Okay.
Yeah, and there are people way down the southern tip of Ireland that have a Gaelic language that has survived unchanged from they spoke it because it's a living language, same way as Welsh is a living language, and every time Sinn Féin stands up in the Dáil, the Irish Parliament, and speaks their leprechaun, the people from the Gaelic stand up and say, "We don't know what you're saying." we don't know what language you're speaking, but it's not
Yeah,
Irish.
yeah. I didn't know any of this, mate. No, I didn't think Wales would have had hardly any influence in Ireland, to be honest.
Well,
Apart from
what
St.
happened?
David. St.
What
Patrick.
happened? What happened was the Romans, actually the Church of Rome, decided that everywhere would get their sermon, their part of their sermon in Latin, the traditional opaque bit, and then the actual sermon where the priests would talk to the congregation. They would get that in English, and everybody had to learn like pidgin English. And the Welsh were the only people that went, yeah, no, fuck that. So the Church of Rome granted the Welsh a Bible and a Book of Common Prayer in Welsh. So the Welsh language stayed intact. All the other dialects went to the wall. And it's become a bit of a tradition for people that are reviving their language whenever they run out of words to borrow some Welsh.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Do you know we have such beauty and depth in our culture? It's honestly, we are in the best country. Wow, we're in the best country. We know the situation, but the beauty and depth, and they ram this globalist down us. So we need diversity, and yeah, people are waking up and stuff. But yeah, man, I love it. I love this country. I love the country and the people, and it just kills me, to wake up every morning and just see what it's turning into. But it's nice to be here amongst level-headed, decent people who understand what's really going on. On that note, I'd like to pass the conversation on to somebody else.
Well, thank you very much. That was a very lovely comment. The England, Scotland, Wales, and Ulster, they all have their unique bits and pieces. And I think whenever it's all brought together as a whole, it is quite a wonderful place. And there's plenty of room for us all to have our own unique identity, but also work in cooperation.
Well, on another topic, point two, I noticed Sanson Cominem and Edmund, 184 in the chat, talking about Princess Anne. And I think Sanson said he'd like her in the 1970s.
I know. I can feel another blinding Rory story coming up, and I love him.
Yeah,
I love Rory.
And then,
go on, mate.
And then Edmund replied, she had an affair with her bodyguard in 1980 something. And I remember that. I remember that well. There was someone from the News of the World, and they were about to report on it, but they were told not to by the palace. But it's very true, Edmund. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, because they had a pretty ugly-looking family. Princess Anne was about the only one which was sensibly looking. The rest of them are just a family of inbred weirdos. What a portrait! Our royal family. What an absolute shambles of a royal family. I don't want to start going into them because I'll go on a big diatribe. But yeah, what a shambles of a royal family we got. But
aged like cheese.
I did meet Princess Anne once in my lifetime. I was running a lottery for a local sort of swimming pool thing, and she was invited, and I was introduced to her. And she said, well, isn't that lottery gambling? I said, well, yes, but 50% of the money, goes to the community. And she said, oh, I've never gambled myself. And I turned around to her and I said, well, excuse me, Your Royal Highness, but surely you put money on a horse. She never answered that one.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, she looked like one.
yeah, well, her mum wasn't
She
sort of
looked- She should back herself because she looked like a winning horse to me, with that
Yeah.
big long face and then massive teeth on her, Princess Anne. How cheeky is that, Rory, to ignore you, you know?
Well, Streaky, I mean, are you talking about looking at her from the front or the back?
I love Rory, man. He's spot on. Hey, Rory, when me and you're going to get a plot on the woodland, this place, and we're living next door to each other. That's a deal, mate, yeah?
We are. No, that's agreed. Yep.
Yeah.
Not in writing, but verbally. Yes, that's verbally agreed.
That's a verbally agreement, mate. Me and I gotta live next door to you, man. In the future, out in the country, we'll be yeah, definitely, Rory. Sorry, lads. Please, I'll finish my bit.
No, that's okay. I mean, I can't believe. I mean, what's the woodland up to now? Is it nearly 60,000?
Yeah, 60 grand, really.
It's a hell of a lot of money in
Hopefully,
what, 3
by the end
weeks?
of by the end of the year, that if it goes up like 500 quid a day, by the end of the year, that's like 130, 40 grand. So that's money. That's to buy a plot somewhere. Yeah, things are looking good there. Obviously, you see the discussions on the website and things will be ironed out eventually. But yeah, so I'm happy to be in it. You know.
So if I suggested, Streaky, they buy a plot on the top of the Brecon Beacons, Penny Fan, would you come and live with me there?
That's a bit bleak in the winter, mate. No, maybe something more central for everybody in Britain. Somewhere, why I would say somewhere central in Britain, so people from Scotland, Cornwall, everybody, just to get to that first piece of land is somewhere central for everybody to reach for holidays, etc. You know, mate.
Yeah, exactly. No, I was only joking, Streaky.
I know, mate.
One of the worst days of my life, a mate of mine, he suffered from hypothermia on Penny Fan, and I had to carry him down on my shoulders. That was seriously one of the worst days of my life.
Were you by chance doing selection at the time?
No, it was after that point, but I can't go into that too much.
All right, okay. Sorry. Yeah. I don't think we've. I don't think I'll not go any further. But I was going for a wind up, but stumbled into something. Sorry.
No problem. No chance. How are you?
I am good, mate. How are you?
Well, I was just going to speak to us. We're all together here, having fun.
And I'm almost convinced that you're actually King Charles, just with your links to the royal family, and you know. See, silence. The handlers have stepped in and went, fucking evacuate.
He's been rumbled.
No, I did meet King Charles once, actually. Yeah, when he was Prince Charles in California, actually. Yeah, shortly after the
Did you see
the 92 LA riots.
that fucking clock they got with Prince Charles, King Tampon, whatever he wants to call himself, and the Queen, apparently, Camilla, yeah. And so he's with Sadiq Khan, and they got a globalist countdown clock. Like 4 months ago or 3 months ago, he said, listen, I'm going to kick all this World Economic Forum nonsense into touch now. I'm not going to be talking to my plants and thinking I'm a sanitary towel. I'm going to be a king for the British people. A few months later, he's unveiling a globalist world countdown clock to fucking total destruction in 6 years with Sadiq Khan. I just want to vomit. It makes me want to vomit. I'd lop his fucking head off like no tomorrow. Honestly.
Well,
Uh,
exactly, Streaky. I don't trust him an inch.
he's filthy.
There's no way he should be ruling this country, in my opinion.
He's globalist filth, and that's it. Everything got taken over from even the royalty. Everything got taken over in our country. The NHS, education, the army, police. Everything got taken over. The royalty's been taken over for a long time, but as in everything, it's just coming to fruition now. What with your COVID and your climate change and central banking, digital currency, it's all coming to fruition, and he's one of the shining lights. He's an absolute disgrace. I despise them. I hate them all. And all these pigs, these globalist pigs, put our people through for the last few years, and still his stinking media just won't say about it. And how many people these bastards have killed where they... honestly, I don't want to talk about it, man. What these fucking animals done to our people. I'd string a lot of them up. The royal family, all of them scum. All of the World Economic Forum, all of these leaders, and all this shitty, absolute shitty charades of a COVID inquiry. I despise what. Sorry. I just I better shut up now because I understand 42 is your channel and.
Yeah, right. Well, I'll tell you what I will say. King Charles is supposed to be apolitical.
Yeah.
It's part of his job to keep out of all of that. The last king we had that got involved with politics, they chopped his fucking head off. And since then, we have not had political leadership, and we've had a democracy that deals with all of that. So they're supposedly elected by the people.
Wait, they done what to him? Sorry,
They chopped his fucking head off.
Beast.
The last time we had a king that was involved himself in politics and tried to force his will on Parliament. That started a war that ended with his head getting lopped off, and then we had and then Cromwell took over with his Ironsides, and we had Cromwell for a while, and then we had, I can't remember which king it was coming after that, but we had no monarchy for a while. So Charles might want to have a think about what he's at.
What's the modern equivalent of a beheading? Let's see, like the Pope, if they sign up to Global Homo, the Kings signs up to rainbow flags everywhere. Do we just cut their cocks off and then go, there you go?
The modern equivalent to beheading is you have a crash in a tunnel.
Yeah, 42. Yeah. On the subject of Oliver Cromwell, I'd love to ask you your opinion on him and how the Irish generally look at him, because he basically destroyed the country, in my opinion.
There's a book called The Curse of Cromwell. Get a read at that. Cromwell left the country in a much better state than he found it. After the levels of corruption in Ireland prior to Cromwell were off the charts. The other thing is you have to realise that Cromwell came in on the back of the 1741, I think it was, the massacre of the Protestants, where there was a thing called a rebellion where the Catholics murdered the Protestants in lakes where the blood turned red.
That's what I thought. 42. Yep. I mean, because most of the Irish I hate Oliver Cromwell.
No,
He killed thousands of them.
no. Prior to
Am I wrong?
Cromwell coming in, you had I think 1741 rebellion, where the Catholics or the Irish nationalists arrived at the houses of the Protestants, dragged them out of the house, stripped them naked, forced them into lakes, and murdered them. And the blood of Loch Earn turned red, not discerned by man, woman, or child. And Cromwell came in and sorted that shit out. There's the depositions. Cromwell's depositions are currently available online from Trinity University, Dublin.
Well, I bow to your superior knowledge, 42.
Cromwell came in. He put people in charge of Ireland that would not put up with the corruption. He brought order back to the country because it had become lawless. He brought order back. He brought trade back. The people that he put in place wouldn't allow the only two foodstuffs that was really made in Ireland was barley. Well, there's potatoes, barley, and cheese. That was the sum total of the farming. And whenever the potato blight happened, the people that he put in charge banned the export of the barley or the cheese, so there was at least some food about the place.
May I ask you this question, 42?
Yeah.
Why wasn't Ireland capable of organising itself and ruling itself in the first place before Cromwell?
Because the Celts arrived. It was prior to the Celts. Ireland was a settled island that pretty well looked after itself. Then the Celts arrived around about 500 BC. The next thing you have is the earthworks around Black Pig Dyke from around about 100 AD to 400 AD. Then Patrick came over. There was battles between the Celts and the natives. Then the Vikings come over. They invaded. They set up Dublin, Cork, Wexford. Can't remember what the other town was. The first four large settlements, and what you had was like feudal warlords.
Well, I was about to mention that. Yeah, they were warring tribes against one another, and it was never a king of Ireland. Well, no, I think some of them tried to be.
Yes, there was a Viking that nearly became the one king of Ireland, but it never really worked. And there was what we mockingly call the modern day troubles, which, by the way, haven't finished, began around about 500 BC whenever the Celts arrived, and Cromwell was the only person that actually brought peace to the whole island and prosperity. Now, there's a lot of people don't like exactly how he went about it, and I get that, but his mailed fist was what was required.
It's on excuse me, lads. It's on a different subject. If you don't mind, 42. It's not so much history as the future. Oh, what do you boys? What do you think about NATO today? Basically, America saying it's okay to use cluster bombs in Ukraine. What's your thoughts on this absolutely horrific decision? How disgusted to be part of this NATO to give the go ahead to cluster bombs against Russians.
Well,
Fucking unbearable, mate. This is something that they're dying on his ass. Ukraine is dying on its ass. The people in the war, and this is such a desperate shot to do this. And you know, Russia, for me, they've been so much. They've been so calm in not reacting against the constant.
Well, Russia's winning that thing.
From us, you know.
From this thing started, Russia has demilitarized Ukraine because they've got fuck all left to fight with, and now they have the whole of the Western world has run out of artillery shells to the point where they've had to give them cluster shells instead. Given a choice, I would pull us out of NATO today. I would stop any aid to Ukraine. And by the way, it turns out we've got approximately 40 working main battle tanks.
Russia will sort that out in the weekend.
Oh, right. Oh, here, you hear this? It gets better.
Go on, mate.
Whenever we stop making the Challenger 2s, we close down all the stuff and all the lines, and they went to the BAE and says, could you knock us up a couple of Challenger 2 barrels? And they went, what? Are you fucking mad? Do you remember about 10 years ago you came to us and said that we didn't need any more of those barrels, and by the time we did need them, we'd be going to a smoothbore barrel? We'll see all the stuff for making those barrels. It's fucking gone. We can't make them no more. And the barrel's good for around about 500 shells. So, yeah, they ain't going to be working anymore very shortly. It's fucking, it is an absolute joke. Our army's gone. Our army has fucking gone. You could fit the entire British army inside Wembley and not fill the fucking place.
Yeah, 70,000 people.
Yep. And that's including cooks. That's including fucking clerks.
Including the cooks. Oh,
yeah.
Fucking hell, mate. What chance?
Yeah, no.
What chance do we have? We are on a world stage. We're nothing.
Oh, and we have enough artillery rounds that if we were fighting in Ukraine or that type of a war, we've got enough artillery for half a day. It beggars belief. But having said that, I mean, America's down to 3 days worth of shells, and they're refusing to give those to Ukraine. It's a fucking joke.
I'm sorry. I've just seen what Anglo has said in the chat. But Russia has been using cluster bombs. I'm really surprised about this. If they have, I didn't know about it. I didn't think fucking Russia would sink that low as to use. I'll be interested to learn about this. Like,
I haven't heard of Russia being using them. I know that Russia has them, and I think if they start throwing them towards Russia, Russia's going to start throwing them back.
Yeah, this get a bit fucking naughty, like, you know. And,
here's how it goes.
Russia get it over with. To be honest, I'd like Russia just to fucking get ahead, and whatever it takes, use some hypersonic missiles and get the war done quick. Get it over sharply, because the longer it goes on, and these desperate American bastards, they could drag us into like a very bad future.
Well, consider this. You've got, like, if you look at what Britain and America did in Iraq or Afghanistan, and they went in and they willy-nilly blew things the fuck up and they took over the country. Now, who's running Afghanistan now?
Russia has done a very clinical war. Where America went into Iraq, Afghanistan, basically they sent the planes and they bombed fuck out of everything, and then they sent the troops in afterwards to clear up whatever was left behind that hadn't been killed with the bombs. But Russia hit this clinically. They've done a very polite way of doing the war. So I'm a little surprised to see a couple of Mark's in the chats about the cluster bombs for Russia because they've left an exemplary example how to conduct war. To be honest, I think.
Yeah, I think it's coming from Billy Blogs. I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether Russia's been using cluster bombs or Ukraine has been saying they've been using cluster bombs, because that's two totally different things. Ukraine has a lot of stuff about this whole thing that is simply not true. What they have done is they have annihilated the Ukrainian army 3 times. They have done away with everything that's been sent over to them, and they're continuing to do that. And whenever this thing's over, Ukraine will not be able to come back at them for another fucking 100 years.
No. It's Ukraine is gone. No matter what, it's gone now. As a country, Russia should take it over as well and just reinstate that buffer zone between them and NATO.
But
the despicable folks.
I'll tell you what I find very interesting. In Kosovo self-declared itself independent. I think it was 2009. I'm not 100% sure on the dates. The dates are the bit I'm skiffy with, but they self-declared this chunk of Serbia to be Kosovo. The Kosovo people never agreed to it, but the rest of the world backed them, so Kosovo became a country. It would have been very easy for Kosovo to draw the lines on that map round the ethnic Albanians and only the ethnic Albanians, but no, they didn't do that. They kept a chunk of the ethnic Serbs as a way to keep the war going on a low level with Serbia. In very much the same way that it would have been pretty easy for the people in Kiev to draw the map for Ukraine to avoid to leave the ethnically Russian areas inside Russia. But no, they didn't do that. They claimed those areas, which is the basis of why we're having this war at the minute. It is absolutely fucking nuts.
What's funny is you got BlackRock and Stateside, and Vanguard, and they're all in there chopping up chopping up Ukraine, and after in their fucking heads, they've got a map of Ukraine after all this is finished, and they're already chopping up the regions where they can have influence and which countries they've already picked, which part of Ukraine they're going to rebuild. So already, like the construction and the takeover is on the cards. The only thing is they forgot about Russia, and Russia doesn't want any of it. So Russia is going to win, and NATO hopefully will be fucking dead after this disgusting mess of a conglomerate of evil NATO. I hope I want to see Russia just fucking wipe the floor with NATO, and because all because Russia, want a family unit, they want their own culture, they don't want the LGBT perversion going into society. And I just fucking sick of this libertarianism about taking over the world.
America can make 30,000 150 millimeter artillery shells a month. Europe can put out 4,000 of those shells a month. Russia's using 15,000 of them a day, 30,000 on a busy day. It's not hard to tell where this is going.
No, it's I think the ratio I've heard is in between 1 and 10, and 1 and 17 the Ukrainians dying to Russians, and on the channels like the Duran and so they're having it's just fucking slaughterhouse, it's an abattoir, and we're not being shown this on the media. It's this is fucking terrible. An old brother Christian war, and who's funding off it, you know, the usual suspects.
The people who are creating this war and prolonging this war need done for war crimes.
Yeah.
Because there, in any normal world, when you run out of small arms ammunition, when you run out of artillery ammunition, when you run out of armored cars, tanks, all the stuff that you need, when your air defense is fucking done, when you've lost the war, what you do is you surrender and you have peace terms and the killing stops. But because of the aid from the West, that has not happened and the killing has continued. And it's fucking disgusting.
Fat Boris, the globalist partying pig, he stopped the peace treaty. He stopped there when Zelensky and Putin said they came to an agreement, and Boris was in NATO's little messenger boy, flew into Ukraine, spoke with Zelensky, and no, the war carries on.
Yeah, and how must it be for Zelensky, because he's supposedly run that country, but he can't make a fucking decision because it's not his choice, and they've had that much stuff off the West and he who pays the paper picks the tune.
Yeah. He's going to end up very, very rich or very, very dead.
My money's on his wife's going to end up very rich while he's very dead.
I'd agree with you, mate.
Right. Now, 42.
Yes.
Come on. Yeah. Be a gentleman. You have to post the photo I sent you of the Sorces giant.
Right, 1 second.
Before the end of the stream. Come on,
right,
put that up.
I'm going to get that now. I'm in the mail.
You wait for this, Streaky. I don't know whether you know about the Sorces giant, but
I do. Yeah,
he's quite an impressive figure.
All right, hold on.
For white nationalism. Oh, I shouldn't say that on YouTube. Damn it. Sorry, I take that back.
Oh, hold on. I've lost that.
This is about 20 minutes away from the street here, and given that 42 was started the stream talking about chalk carvings, I thought I had to send this to them.
Yes. Right.
We can discuss that later, should you so wish, 42.
Right. Hold on. Why is this not coming up? All right, there it is. Right. Here we go. Present.
Arms. Present. Arms.
Here we go. We're getting there. We're getting there. Window. Here we go. Here's the chappy here. Now, did he always have that mask on?
No.
Or is that a COVID edition?
I think that's a COVID edition.
Yeah. It was painted on the 2020 match.
Yeah. Yes.
He obviously, Emma Webb from GB News must have just walked over that field.
Well, you know what? There's a theory in Dorset, where he is, that says if a woman was to sit on his nether regions, she will be married and pregnant within 3 months.
I heard it works for the white people.
Well,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Well, it's obviously some form of a fertility symbol.
Clearly, yeah. I think it's 17th century, I believe. You know, but no one really knows. It's like those other relics and carvings that you were talking about earlier, 42.
Yeah, because there's quite a few white horses around Britain, which I didn't really know about it until I started looking into that one, and I was like, oh fuck, there's more of them.
Like, yeah, I have
That's the prehistoric advert for the vaccine. Get your vaccine or else.
I live fairly close to the Westbury White Horse in Wiltshire. That's quite a well-known one. Not far from Uffington that you were talking about earlier, actually.
Yeah.
But anyway, there we are. I thought I'd end on a on a wrecked note.
Tic Tac in the chat is he holding the biggest knick-knack in the world. Yeah, the scampi and lemon flavour.
Oh. Yeah,
I quite like the size of his club. I mean, he's obviously going to defend himself, you know.
Yes. Yes.
And Sally's got a point. I can see it also. The face of a dog on his trunk. Can you see it? It looks like Mungo out the Mary, Mungo and Midge. Can you see the dog's face on his torso?
Oh, we see. Aunt Sally's quite interested. Yeah.
She's very perceptive and a great lady, yeah.
Yes.
The dog face. Oh, the two eyes and the three streaks.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Sorry about that, 42. To end your channel on.
No, that's
on that photograph.
You've actually got us back to something with a bit of culture and history. So yeah. we're good. We're good.
I bet that's Rory's back garden.
Not quite. No, not quite.
I think on that, it's come up to 1 o'clock. I think on that, I'm going to round this up because my throat's going because it was on my Sansom earlier and whatnot. Streaky, anything to say before you go?
Yeah, just don't be too disheartened. I see the tide is turning a bit for us with the globalists, the elitists. I think the tide is turning. There's a lot of negativity about. Just don't be too negative. Yeah, just chin up, as Rory would say, chin up.
Yep, sounds good. Mr. Herbert.
Mr. 42.
Yeah.
Anything else to say? Not really, except to thank you for another excellent stream and for having me on. It was extremely kind of you.
Always a pleasure, Rory.
That's good. And yeah, I think it was, interesting. Yeah.
Right. At that, I am going to put up some music. I'll put the comments up on the screen, and that'll be us for another evening. And let's see. Right, hold on. Right, yes, now we're getting there.
Yeah, thanks for the stream and great chat, mate. And yeah, great.
Very welcome. And this is a chat by a guy called Justice Kane. Does some good based stuff. I'll get the link for his channel in the chat if any of you want to go over and subscribe. He's only got 23 subscribers. It should be a lot more. Where am I? Yep, that is actually up. Good. Here we go.
Say that seeing is believing. What else can you do? my eyes don't deceive me, then the truth I'm telling you. It was a warm summer's evening in the month of June. We were out in the backyard, messing around, playing some old tune. Up in the moonlit sky, something out of the ordinary caught his eye. You were so profound, made no sound. Wasn't a flying saucer, wasn't an aeroplane, it was a big white triangle. It was a very close encounter, first of its kind. Unidentified flying object messing with my mind. Glided across the rooftops, as quiet as a cloud, like something out of a sci-fi movie. The truth I finally been allowed. I just happened to be in the right place, fortunately at the right time. Should have seen the look of shock on Chris's face, sheer delight of mine. Big white triangle, big white triangle. We are not alone. No, we are not alone. It was a big white triangle over Chris's heart that night.
You see what I'm seeing?
Are you seeing what I see? Wasn't a flying saucer, no sir, wasn't an aeroplane. I just happened to be in the right place. I'll never feel the same again. Big white triangle, big white triangle, big white triangle, a big white triangle. We are not alone. You see what I see? No, we are not alone. It was a big white triangle over Chris's heart that night. Wasn't a flying saucer, no sir, wasn't an aeroplane, a meteor or a satellite. Yeah, maybe I might be insane. Big white triangle, big white triangle, big white triangle.
Okay, everybody. Thanks for dropping in. Good night. God bless. I've been 42. The guests were the guests. I've been 42. You lot in the chat have, as always, been fucking amazing. Good night. God bless you all next week. I'm out of here. Goodbye.